Hi, my name's Shane. I use she and her pronouns, and this is The Between Questions and Opportunities, a game of The Between by Jason Cordova about monster hunters in Victorian England and the terrible threats they must confront, investigate, and resolve. The game was organized through the Gauntlet. If you're not familiar, the Gauntlet is a gaming community that organizes and discusses and plays a whole lot of Indian story games. If you would like to find out more or get involved, come play a game with us, then please check out gauntlet-rpg.com. All games on the Gauntlet use a set of safety tools, and this is no exception. So just a reminder for the players today that if you need to check what our lines and veils are, there's a safety tab in the Keeper. We also have the X card and the Open Door if you need to use any of those, and we're running under the Gauntlet Community Code of Conduct. I wanted to mention those safety tools in particular. I expect us to be having, a ball scene today. Going to the ball might get pretty risque. So if anyone does want to use any of those safety tools, like that's what they're there for. Don't be shy about letting us know. I think that's all that I want to say by way of introduction. Immediately in the chat, will there be dead bodies at the ball? Well, I guess that depends how you act, really, won't it? I will ask you now to introduce yourselves, just in the order I see you on my screen. So, Blake, do you want to go first?
G'day, I'm Blake, he, him. Today I'm playing Helena Henbury, she, her, who's a vessel, who's like the resident psychic, mystic person who'll talk and commune with spirits.
Excellent. Gabe?
Hi, everyone. I'm Gabe. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm playing the liar, Jim Fletcher, also he, him pronouns. He's the American, a bit of a fish out of water with a big hat and a big gun.
And Jamie?
And big muscles, I always think. I don't know why. So I'm Jamie. I use they, he pronouns, and I'm playing the Mother Playbook, specifically Professor Dr. Malik Al-Kabar, he, him pronouns. And I'm here to create my child. So that's my main obsession. I guess I can go to a ball. That'll be fine. Jamie will be excited about it. Malik, I'm not so sure
I see. And yeah, unfortunately, Joel, who plays Miss Reeves, can't be with us today. So just to recap briefly where we're at in the story. Last session, you were able to put an end to the threat of the Limehouse Lurker, at least for now, as Helena banished the second of the two vampires, but it's unclear how permanent that banishing was exactly. But you also learned of a new threat. The Coven have arrived in London, and they are pretending to be mere fortune tellers, innocent psychics, or maybe even innocent charlatans, but in fact, extremely evil, extremely dangerous. Here in the sort of final phases of their plan for a grand ritual that will turn all the psychics in London into vampires. Excuse me. Let's see. You started investigating the Coven, but both Ms. Reeves and Helena were afflicted by the Coven's powerful hexcraft. And as we start, I think that I'm going to frame a scene where you have returned to Hargrave House. If Miss Reeves was here, we'd probably play that out a bit different, but I think it makes sense. Come back here where it's safe. Helena has warded Hargrave House against the Coven's magic. Miss Reeves can get some bed rest, which is what the doctor prescribes after vomiting rats and other pests. And all of you can get ready for tonight. Because tonight you have all been invited to a masquerade ball at Braithwaite Hall. Ms. Reeves did take time yesterday to lay out, to press and lay out outfits, suitable clothing for all of you, if you do wish to attend. And you know that these balls are infamous for such scandalous goings on that Queen Victoria has personally tried to suppress them, tried to stop Theodora Braithewaite from having any more of these wild parties. And what's more, you have heard that's not just a political disagreement or a moral disagreement or, Victorian prudery. The rumor is that Theodora and the Queen were once lovers, and that is the source of their tensions between them. So, as we start, it's late in the day. It is almost dusk. I want to leave it in your hands whether you want to go straight into the dusk phase and then onto the ball, or onto whatever else you might want to do during the night phase, or whether you want to get in a quick round of scenes in the day phase before we go to dusk, especially if people want to trigger the vulnerable move, maybe. Does anyone have strong thoughts or preferences there? Blake?
Nope. Happy to go to dusk.
All right. Jim Fletcher?
Wouldn't mind clearing a condition because I have two and I always have one. So,
yeah.
I don't. If anyone is excited about a particular vulnerable move scene, feel free to invite me. I don't have anything quite in mind yet.
Ooh, I remember you promised the doctor to teach him how to shoot, right? So I wouldn't mind, especially after what happened, right, with the vampire showing up to attack the doctor.
Yeah, I could certainly follow up on that promise.
All right. Well, we'll get to that scene. Blake, is there anything that Helena wants to do while these guys are out the back shooting, or?
I think she had a thing on her hand, so she'll find whatever the Victorian equivalent of hand cream is and put it on her hand.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds lovely. All right. Well,
it probably has some form of poison in it. Let's be honest. Like back then, anyway. Yeah.
Or cocaine.
Yeah. We make it work. Yeah.
Like you're freezing up a bit there, but I think we got it. All right. Well, Jim Fletcher and Dr. Malik, do you want to frame this scene for us?
Yeah, I think the way Malik asks Fletcher is by just showing up and placing a gun at your desk and just crossing his arms like, well, I'm ready if you are, Mr. Fletcher.
Is this a pistol or a rifle?
Oh, what does the good doctor have? I kind of like the idea of a rifle. Yeah, right when you have to put it against your shoulder to, yeah.
Great. I will enlist one of the other help that we have in the house to essentially launch clay pigeons for us. So we'll do some skeet shooting. And now, Dr. Malik, have you ever fired a weapon before? I see you have one, but it's not always the case.
Right. This didn't belong to me. I say mysteriously as I touch the gun. But I have paid special attention to those who do shoot firearms, such as yourself, Mr. Fletcher. But that's about the extent of my experience.
Are you saying you pay special attention to me?
Mr. Fletcher, I assure you that I pay special attention to everyone. I say lying, I think you can, as a liar, I think you can catch me lying,
I see. All right, doctor. Well, now maybe we'll start simple. Now your Miss Reeves picked this up quite quickly. I will say. But we'll set up a couple stationary targets first, and then if you're getting the feel of it, we can look at some moving targets. And I'm just going to let Dr. Malik shoot with no instruction first.
And I think Malik sort of like tries to sort of take on like a Fletcher stance, right? Like hips wide, feet wide apart. Like this is how an American stands, right?
Chest out.
Yeah, chest out, and then like so he's incredibly rigid, and you can tell he's trying very hard to impress you. So the first shot goes completely wide, like he's looking in the completely wrong direction, and the bullet goes off like entirely in a different one.
Now, you see, Doctor, you want to look all the way down the sight here, exactly at your target, and you gotta. And I'll kind of like touch Malik's shoulders. You gotta relax those shoulders. Breathe out right when you squeeze the trigger. Just keep it steady. You don't want to pull it. You just want to gently nudge it.
Right, being gentle. Oh, that's not something I would associate with a weapon like this, but
Yeah, imagine you're cutting up one of them bodies.
oh, and in the moments you say that, like it just fires off a shot, real gentle, like no issues whatsoever. Ah, I see a different kind of instrument. That makes sense to me.
There we go.
And so I'm trying to remember, is this your character's vice or?
It is, yeah. So
oh, nice.
I can ask you. I'll see what Malik wants to know about Jim Fletcher's past.
Ooh. I'll ask. So, Mr. Fletcher, do you make it a habit to teach people how to be dangerous?
Well, I find that in their own way, most folk are pretty dangerous when they need to be. I don't know if I make it a habit per se. Maybe I just find myself around dangerous folk.
Maybe there's something about you that attracts dangerous people, Mr. Fletcher.
Well, now, Doctor, I wouldn't necessarily know about that, but I do find myself in dangerous situations from time to time. Sorry you couldn't be there to help us with that vampire. It was that was a mighty dangerous situation.
Well, I apologize for not being able to be at your side, Jim, but I'm sure you were able to handle it.
We did okay.
Somehow, Mr. Fletcher, I have a suspicion that when it comes to being the most dangerous one in the room, it could very well be you sometimes.
Well, I do take a certain amount of pride in taking care of things for folks, and well, sometimes that involves little extra effort, I mean, no insult to yourself or Ms. Reeves or Ms. Henbury, but y'all aren't the most physical folk.
I assure you, Mr. Fletcher, if you catch me in a certain type of mood, I can be very physical.
Amazing.
Shall we end the scene there?
That's perfect.
All right. So we're going to move on then to the dusk phase.
Ooh, sorry. Could I have? I'd like a quick, because the last time I played, I asked the grave robbers to bring back a body part for me. I just want to quickly. No, we could just for the sake of tweaking it. They come in and give me a body part, and then I'll activate the move again if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Or you've come back to a body part just sort of dropped off in your chambers.
Oh, perfect. They're so considerate. I'm sure Miss Reeves took care of it while I was indisposed.
Well, Miss Reeves also has a body part that she retrieved for you, but I'll save that and she can present it when she gets the chance.
I am so spoiled.
So what happens when they bring back a piece?
Let's see.
You just acquire it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What body part have they brought you?
Ooh, so many interesting. I'm gonna say it's eyes, unless that's what Miss Reeves got. But
it is what Miss Reeves got, but maybe she said to eyes is nice.
I knew it. So I had a feeling Joel and I are so psychedelic. So I'm gonna say it's hands.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's an interesting set that they got for me. There are all these ribbons that are tied around one of the hands. So I also forgot last time that when I acquire a body part for the child, I should narrate a brief, pleasant memory of the person. So I think just because, I got quite a few parts and I didn't get to narrate, it'll just be a quick, because last time I got the hands, the heart, and the hair. I think it's just a scene of Malik and his lover, it's this whole dramatic bed frame situation with the dramatic curtains across the bed kind of thing, where you just see a close up of the hair and the hands, and maybe Malik's hand against his chest, and you just hear the heartbeat, and then it fades.
Nice. All right. So, moving into the dusk phase, we're just going to start with any playbook moves or custom moves that are resolved during the dusk phase. So, Jamie, I'll just get you to lead off because you are going to trigger that move again, I think.
Yeah, and I think it happens in the middle of Malik remembering that moment when all of a sudden he hears the voice of Harley White break through the reverie, and Malik is like, Mr. White, I'm pleased once again to have you here. You and the boys have done well. And I'm going to pick 2 things that they're going to do for me. Ooh. Oh, do I want to? How can I resist? I'm like, how fast am I going? And try to. Yeah, I'll go ahead and have them search for other valuables that night during the dawn phase. Ask another hunter what they found and add it to your personal quarters. I'll pick that one instead.
But you choose 2, right?
Yeah, and the second one I'm going to choose is... I don't think the time is for complications just yet. So I'll choose you'll face no blowback or complications. I'm not quite greedy enough to not choose that one just yet.
Nice. All right. Helena, do you have any moves that trigger during the dusk phase?
Nope.
All right. But Jim Fletcher, I know that you do.
I do. I have to keep my curse in check. So they're both the same, but I will, for flavor, roll with composure. Try to stay centered. Got important things to do tonight.
Can somebody post our dice room link in the chat? Now I've misplaced it.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. That's a 13.
Nice.
Wow.
So what's the extra thing that you get on a...
I will, because of my heightened senses, I will get a clue during the next dawn phase.
Cool. All right. And is that all the moves that trigger during the night phase? Oh, sorry, the dusk phase? Everyone's done? Cool. Yeah, sorry, I'm just flicking around my tabs now. So I'm going to pose a scene now, a paint the scenes question about Hargrave House. So this evening you have all gathered in the salon before you head over to, well, whatever you might be doing tonight. I'm going to ask each of you, what do you see in this room that makes it the most comfortable spot in the house? So Dr. Malik, can I get you to go first?
What kind of room is it again? It's
the salon.
Ooh, nice. I think there are some really big, comfy chairs. You know, the kind where the back goes all the way past the head, and it's quite roomy and it's luxurious, but it's understated. Very, very comfortable. It's very easy to lean back and have a cigar in these chairs.
Excellent. And Helena, what do you see that makes it the most comfortable spot in the house?
I think there's some pot plants sort of hanging in the corners, and it just always smells fresh in here because of that. It doesn't smell stuffy or
like it does down Dr.
Yeah,
Malik's end of
you
the
walk
house.
in and
No corpse smell around here.
I'm not putting. It just it always smells fresh in here.
It's just a smell of
nice, makes you
formaldehyde,
relax.
Excellent. And Jim Fletcher.
I will say there are large south-facing windows, so it gets a lot of sun, and is one of the least drafty rooms in the house. So it's
Nice.
relatively warm.
All right. And now you each tell me what your hunter will be doing during the upcoming night phase. Dr. Malik, what will you be doing?
Right. So we're technically preparing for the ball. Is that right? Did I?
Well, the ball is tonight. If you want to attend, you can attend, but you can also decide that your
Yeah,
character is doing something else.
I thought we were all
Ooh,
going, but okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna. I assume that Mr. Fletcher is going to be my date since Miss Reeves is indisposed. Right. I think I I prepare an outfit for Mr. Fletcher because I'm a little worried he's gonna show up a little too American. Right? I just wanna. So, but those are my plans too, and Helena can come along too, no problem.
That's very generous. All right, Helena, what is... Sorry, I'm just going to ask you all. I am also assuming that you're all going to go to the ball tonight, but I'm just checking that that's the case. Helena, what are you doing tonight?
Yeah, we're all going as far as I know.
All right. And Jim Fletcher?
Yeah, I'm not going to mess it up. I will also attend.
All right.
Now, since the doctor was sort of away, I'll explain about how, the Covens come to town. They're the greatest threat to England. They've kind of gone to the top of the shit we need to deal with list. And yeah, they're a big, nasty, evil threat. We have to, even though we're going out, we've still got to keep alert. Don't mess with these people. They're nasty. Just make sure we're on the same page with that. That's all.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good reminder. And just a reminder that mechanically the way that works is that they will complete their ritual on the 6th night phase if you don't resolve them before that. And this will be the first night phase.
And I think we said the ritual is basically the vampire apocalypse. It's something terrible involving vampires.
That's
amazing. Yeah. So is this ball connected to the coven in any way, or were we just invited by?
So as far as... You don't really know that much about the ball. You know that this Theodora Braithewaite has invited you, that she has some sort of scandalous history with the Queen, that these balls themselves have quite the reputation. You don't really know why you've been invited, I guess. But she has some interest.
So we don't know that it is, but we don't know that it's not. We just have to keep alert.
It seems like she had some interest in the St. James Street ghost. That's sort of where and how the invitation arrived. So, going to finish out the dusk phase by introducing the unseen. So our unseen today is going to be perched in the Rookery. If you look at that tab, London at Night, it's at D31. And I'm just going to read this introduction. Decrepit tenements lean against one another like drunks. Broken windows covered by rotting boards, and old newspapers decrying the moral decline of the city. Alleys cramped, dark, and full of oozing filth. The Rookery is publicly despised by the well-heeled of London as they drive the unfortunate into it, and the sorts of much salacious interest in private. Here we will go into the night phase, and Dr. El-Kabir, I will ask you to read and then respond to the first of the prompts for Perched in the Rookery.
Sure. Okay, so a squad of peelers come in mob-handed to drag off a bunch of the usual suspects for a robbery charge. What do we see of those who get picked up in the raid? What do the peelers use to justify their brutality? I think what we see of them is... I'll double check our safety just to be sure. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's unfortunately like these people who are forced to live off the streets, right? I think some of them are just like factory workers who didn't make it back home in time. They're just so exhausted from from the day, and so it's just a trumped up charge of loitering. But as we overhear the conversation, we can tell that they just have a quota to meet. Right? They've been told by their bosses that they just have to herd a certain number of people and force them towards the rookery. Right?
All right. So you are standing on the front doorstep of an enormous manor house, ridiculously lavish and expensive, and enormous grounds around it. Many expensive carriages pulled up outside. You know, the drivers are sort of mingling out the front. As you step inside, you enter, you know, there's a small entryway, but you essentially enter onto an enormous dance floor. And you can't help but notice that the waltz is just that little bit too fast for propriety. The dancers are that little bit too close, closer than they should be. A butler greets you as you enter. He has shriveled skin, wisps of grey hair, and a pressed uniform. And he tells you, we are not announcing the guests this evening. The mistress feels that it adds to the mystery. And you do indeed, you know, you see the guests are all masked. Going to ask all of you now. So these parties are infamous for their scandalousness, their illicit pleasures. What do you see as you look around that shocks you? And do you express your shock, your surprise, or do you keep it to yourself? So Dr. Malik, do you want to go first?
Gosh, how hard do I want to go? I think what shocks Dr. Malik is that there are people who you play dress up with, right? Like people who walk in and they're very comfortable with having their clothes just taken off right there, and but not to be naked for a long time. Like other clothes are put on them. They're asked to like take on a personality and be a certain person for other people. And there's something about how empty-eyed these people are and how they just take on a personality that's given to them that freaks out Dr. Malik a bit. Yeah. And I think the only way Dr. Malik shows he's unnerved by it is he unconsciously reaches out and grips like Jim's shoulder and then stops himself like, Mr. Fletcher, I believe you have to be very careful. If you could make sure Helena is close to you at all times.
Well, Helena, what do you see that shocks you?
I think there's like a lavish spread of food. There's like 3 times as much food as what there are people here. It's just a ridiculous amount of, you know, wealth has been put into the artistic displays of food being carried around on the shelves all over the place. Like 10 apples with toffee dripping off them, and you know, no one's even eating it. It's just ridiculous how extravagant it is.
Yeah, like the profiteroles are stacked to the ceiling. And do you express your surprise or conceal it?
No, because we went and chatted to that other lady who sort of said, you know, this is the sort of thing that was going to happen. So while I'm not happy about it, I'm not shocked because I'm like, oh, okay, we were warned.
Yeah. Jim Fletcher, what do you see that shocks you?
There's an extra dessert table with just mountains of available drugs.
Nice.
Just very casually available, a very wide variety, and people are taking from this table in a way that they maybe aren't from the food table.
Just like attendants, like cutting lines for you.
Yeah, it's full service area. And I think Jim Fletcher's surprise registers more as like, oh shit, they're really going for it here.
Yeah. All right. So I just want to let you know that there is a custom move that is available to you during the ball. just tonight. So I've put it on the Moves and Reference tab, starting at H14. When you indulge a scandalous pleasure with one of the guests at Braithwaite Hall, tell us who it is you are surprised to see has come to such an infamous event and how you came to be sharing this indulgence with them. When you do, you can choose either to stumble on a mastermind clue or to gain a favor from this person as something that you can add to your personal quarters. If you have the condition Most Beloved, which I think is Jim Fletcher, is that right? You ask me rather than telling the group who you are surprised to be sharing the indulgence with. And you can only use this once. Each of you can only use it once. So you don't have to use this move. You're welcome to completely ignore it, but it's available if you so choose. So I guess first of all, I'll ask each of you what you do now that you're here at the party. So Dr. Malik, what are you doing?
I think Malik is trying to figure out what's going on, like who invited us, why we're here, right? Like trying to, like, unfortunately, Dr. Malik is like all business, very little pleasure, trying to figure out what's going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, are you going to talk to, like, are you talking to the butler? Are you talking to one of the guests? Like, how are you?
Yeah, I think I'm watching the guests. I'm trying to make sense of like who's in charge, right? Who are they naturally? Like, I can't help but like, who is the queen bee of the situation as these worker bees move around? Like, I'm watching them.
Yeah.
To make sense of who's really in power.
Okay. All right. So I don't think that's a move. I think that you can probably just figure that out. But I'll just check in with everyone about what they're doing first. So, Blake, can you hear us? No, you're away. All right. Jim Fletcher, what are you doing on arrival at this party?
Yeah, I'm going to go right to the food table that no one seems to be eating from, and just fix myself a plate of particularly extravagant meat substances.
Nice. And are you trying to make conversation? Are you trying to like scope things out? Like, do you want to investigate while you're here? What?
Yeah, I will see who's around. I'll kind of make it clear that I'm an American and kind of not from around here, and sort of play off that this is my first fancy London party, which may or may not be true. And kind of see if there's anyone who just seems worth talking to. See if anyone responds to that. Sort of just putting stuff out into the room, kind of.
Sure. And Helena, what about you? What are you doing at the party?
Just generally kind of wandering around, having a look. I'll see if anybody's taking an interest in like Malik or Jim as well. So I'm kind of watching their back while I'm sort of mingling and.
Yeah, that's nice. So I think that I guess all of you in different ways will notice this, but in terms of who's in charge here, you all have the sense that whoever's in charge has not yet arrived. There's a sense of anticipation. You get that in, wisps of conversation, but also just like a feeling in the air. But in terms of who is like in charge right now, there are two figures that all of you can't help but notice. The butler by the door, sure, a little bit shriveled, doesn't look like a physical threat, but clearly a commanding presence. But you might say something of the Miss Reeves about him and his like just raw competence that radiates off him. And there's another gentleman. He's wearing a tweed suit, just a little. I mean, it's probably substantially less formal than what you're seeing from other people. Like there's a lot of tuxedos, a lot of gowns. He's just in his tweeds, like he's in the country or something. He has this sort of pale, oily skin. and you almost don't notice him at first because he's blending so effectively just into the corners. Occasionally he's in a conversation, but not drawing attention to himself. And it's in that very act of subtlety and discretion that he catches your attention. I think we'll go here to our second unseen prompt. So, Helena, can I get you to take the read and answer the second unseen prompt, please?
Okay, so two families share a damp garret, a single room with rainwater leaking in through the rotted shingles as they huddle together for warmth against the cold night air. What little touches of homelessness can we see? Through homeliness, can we see? Are they making the best of their situation? I don't know, maybe I've got a few picture frames I've sort of lent against a wall of like the grandparents or sister or the mother, and they've tried to sort of give themselves a little area each so they're not all huddled together. They've got a little bit of space to stretch out.
Mm-hmm.
And they're, I don't know, maybe every now and then one of them will sing a song or hum a tune and someone else will join in. They're just trying to make it feel like home and relax and not focus on the negative of the situation.
Nice. All right. So back in the main room of the party, there's a room sort of off the dance floor. You can see that the lights are dim inside, and the sounds coming from inside it are suspiciously fleshy. Not totally sure what's going on in there, but doesn't sound like anything good, anything appropriate. Maybe it does sound like something good. But somebody emerges from this room who you recognize, Dr. Malik. The man in the half-sun mask. He has the exact same mask that you saw him with last time. He acknowledges you, I think, as he enters the room, and he strides straight across to the drugs table and arranges a selection of powders for himself. Do you want to interact with this masked man?
Yeah, I think I want this to be my move, the at the ball move.
Mm-hmm. So what's the scandalous pleasure that you'll indulge in together?
Ooh, well, he already went to the dessert table. So I fear it has to be, I think what happens is the doctor thinks it's going to be dessert, but I think our mysterious masked royalty is going to bring Malik into like one of the private rooms where the real, I think, like, let me look at the wording, the scandalous pleasure. How hard do I want to go? I think the scandalous pleasure is, I'm just checking our lines and veils real quick. Yeah, I think it's going to be veiled, but it's that same room where like sounds of physical assertion where we're coming from. And so the thing is, like, people just watch, right? I think it's one of those like shows. Physical exertion, I meant. Yeah. Matthew. Anyway, sorry, that's my but yeah, I think like just to like, because we're all masked, right? I think I'm trying to figure out what the doctor is wearing. I think it's like a black. Ooh, I'm gonna say it's a moon mask to our princes.
Nice.
Sun mask can't resist. How can I resist? Like, it's a crescent shape of a moon mask. But yeah.
Excellent. And will you stumble on a mastermind clue, or do you want this person to owe you a favor?
I want them to owe me a favor. That seems very, very useful.
All right. Um, so yeah, you enjoy this voyeuristic scene together, and the man in the sun mask will owe you a favor. You can add to your personal quarters.
Yeah. Could I say why the prince owes me a favor?
Why does he
I
owe
th-
you a favor?
I think someone tried to take off his mask, and I just very quietly kept the mask on and like pushed that person aside. I think in a way that I've seen Mr. Fletcher like protect people. I'm like mimicking, right? This is how Miss Reeves and Mr. Fletcher does physical like protection.
So you have a feeling that it would be wrong to remove his mask?
I think so. Like, it feels. I think because like number one, it's like an unspoken rule that no one's supposed to unmask anybody at this event. Period. But I noticed there's someone in particular who's like watching and stalking His Royal Highness, right? And so, yeah, I make sure to keep them at bay.
All right. Well, we might come back to that. All right. Helena and Jim Fletcher. You're still in the main sort of dance floor area, and so you notice that the music reaches a sort of crescendo and then drops away, and Theodora Braithewaite appears at the top of the huge marble staircase that leads down to the dance floor. She's wearing a fine white tuxedo with a mask woven of white leather. And on each arm, she has a beautiful young woman. Their ears are sort of strikingly elongated. And Helena, I think that you recognize them either from personal experience or research or whatever as Fae. But they're clearly her dates for the evening, her escorts. And there's a kind of, there's both a hush and a murmur that spreads through the crowd as she walks down the stairs and starts to mingle. Helena, what do you do?
Pick my jaw back up off the ground. Oh, bugger. I'm going to wander up and introduce myself and would any of you care to dance?
You just walk right up to her. Okay. I think that might count as doing something risky and trigger the night move.
Okay.
What are you afraid will happen if you fail? Like you're freezing up a little.
It's just social, so they'll just laugh at me, and then other people won't. They'll just laugh at me, and other people won't dance with me after that. It's like I'll be socially ostracized after that.
How is it worse than you fear? It's worse than you fear because the Coven are here and they'll witness your humiliation. Do you want to back down or go through with it?
No, I'm going to go through with it.
All right.
Well, invited to the ball. We're not going to stand back and do nothing.
Roll with an appropriate ability. I guess presence makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe composure.
Yeah. Okay, so this is going slow. Okay, so
oh, I love this. Yeah, that is a miss. I'll come back to see what the result of the miss
7.
is.
It's
sorry. My
7.
mistake. You had a +1. All right. Oh well, they are.
Oh, Shane, it's okay. Your disappointment is so palpable.
There's that phrase in a lot of PBTA games, like when the player gives you a golden opportunity. I just felt that golden opportunity more than ever before. It was cruelly ripped away, but that's okay. We'll come back. Jim Fletcher, what are you doing as you see Helena just walk right on up to the host?
I'm gonna make my way over to the man in tweed, and I'm doing this like with a plate of food, Hopefully an ale or a beer or something similarly large is the goal. A large glass of literally any liquor. And I will say that Jim Fletcher's mask tonight is a bear skull. He's just wearing it on his sleeve. He doesn't give a shit. But the mask doesn't let me eat, so I've like tipped it up so I can like shovel food into my mouth. I will go over to this guy and tweet like, "Well, you're looking not looking real lively. Someone might accuse you of loitering and take you away. You know, this is a party. You got to be enjoying yourself. Do you see that entrance? That's probably the number 2 most impressive entrance I've ever seen." And I'm gonna try to get him to open up here a little bit I'm gonna in this process like here can you hold my beer and I will pull out my fake ID. This guy right here, Arlo Thompson, he's from Appalachia. I took this from him after he made the most impressive entrance rolling down the river on tree trunks, dancing from tree trunk to tree trunk as the loggers were trying to move them down. This is number 2. And I don't know exactly how to do this because one of my options, if I'm successful, is to get him to reveal a clue. And I'm hoping he may reveal a clue about the coven in some way.
Okay.
So,
well, let's go ahead with the move.
So it's presence and I'm marking the fake ID for this. So it's advantage with a +2. That's an 8.
That's an 8. All right, so what do we get on an 8?
They will still do it.
But it's implied they'll ask for something in return. Is that right?
Yeah.
So we should all reveal a clue about the coven. All right. Well, let's move to our next unseen prompt, and then we'll come back and find out what happened with all of these things. So, Jim Fletcher, can I get you to do that third night scene prompt, please?
Sure. And maybe a helpful way is I'll ask the man in tweed, like, has he ever seen anything that impressive? Kind of the way I'm trying to get him to open up. But for our perched in the rookery, in a lean-to, slumped in a reeking alley, a small group of pickpocket urchins divvy up their spoils to buy food. What objects of frivolous wealth have they managed to lift? I will say they have a variety of like game pieces, so like maybe a couple chess pieces, some playing cards, checkers, things like that. And the game pieces are made from either semi-precious stones, or maybe they're made out of gold, or they're gilded. And the playing cards have like gold foil on them. So they're all sort of made out of far more precious materials than they have any right to be.
Nice. All right. So I am going to suggest that we take our first break here, and we'll come back and finish out the night scene. So we'll come back about 4 or 5 minutes past the hour, if that's good for everyone. Great. See you then.
Hopefully all is well with Shane.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Hopefully Shane did not fall asleep. Oh, there you go.
It's all right.
There you go.
No worries. No worries.
Let's see. So, Dr. Malik, you spent some time in the watcher's room with the man in the sun mask. Do you continue to spend time with him, or what do you do next?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's so dangerous, but I think I will spend time. I think I'm going to ask him about the coven, right? I'll see. The way that I'm gonna broach it is I'm gonna ask. I heard, like
Well, sorry, but I
Oh,
just want to mention something before you ask.
oh, sure,
So
sure.
one, so one of the rewards from resolving the Limehouse Lurker, that I think it was Miss Reeves who took this reward, but I'm happy for you to benefit from it in this scene. It seems to make sense. The man in the sun mask has become a recurring side character. You get one extra clue on the information move when you seek his counsel about other worlds. So that is open to you here.
Other worlds, so mysterious. Uh yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to say so basically His Highness helped us last time, is that right? Like with sort of, maybe, kind of?
I mean, not very directly.
Okay.
You're the only one who's had a scene with the man in the sun mask so far.
Got it. All right. And I'll say, Your Highness, I'm sure that you've already heard, but there is a certain, and as you know, it's like a HBO situation, maybe more Netflix, right? With those bodies undulating over there in the end. I'll say there are certain people who are performing their own dance, their own ritual. I wonder if you heard something about that, Your Highness.
Well, go ahead and roll the information move with
Here I
advantage.
go.
Well, not with advantage. Just roll it with presence, is what I meant to say.
With presence. No problem. I'm going to let's see. I did I'll go ahead and mark one of mine. Since Miss Reeves went out of her way to let me use my beautiful waistcoats again, I'm going to say I'm wearing the one with the anatomical heart that she stitched in. And so I'm touching that part, which I think makes me a little more inviting as I lean over and whisper to our mass prince. Yeah, okay. So presence, advantage. I'm just remembering how to do this. Okay. Then go to the different tab. One, two, three. Okay, just taking the two highest. What is that roll? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna mute myself. Okay, I yelled behind the mute. I feel better. I'm gonna put on a mask just so everybody knows, but please go ahead and tell me what happens first.
Yeah. Wow. Let's see. Well, I think that I am supposed to come back to you after the unseen prompt once you've rolled a move. So I think I'll do that. So just for anyone who is listening or watching this later, that was a roll with advantage, and Jamie has rolled a 3 with advantage.
I rolled a 1, 1, and 2. Good job. Fantastic.
Amazing.
Painful. My first time coming back to a game in a while, and this is what happened. Thank you so
much. So, Helena, you ask Theodora Braithewaite to dance with you.
Well, I kind of addressed all three of them, so would anyone like to
dance? Okay. The room around you reacts. People are shocked that, you haven't even, most of them don't even know who you are, probably. This strange woman, certainly not anyone you would expect to be, standing up right in Theodora's face and asking for a dance. And you rolled, a success with a complication. So,
yep.
Theodora looks at you, also with some surprise, but she nods and she sort of releases the arms of the two young Fey women that are accompanying her. And she's wearing her signature sapphire choker that she never goes anywhere without, as well as her white tuxedo and leathers. And is a sort of stately middle-aged black woman, and she takes your hand, pulls you tightly into her embrace, and begins to lead you across the dance floor. And she says,
I should probably point out what I'm wearing. It's a blue dress, like a blue like butterfly mask, because she's got blue eyes, so she went,
Mhm.
So the mask and the dress match, and yeah, fairly high split up the sides probably because she knew what she was going for.
And she tells you that she loves a confident woman. She appreciates your bold advance. But she tells you that there's someone else here who wants to dance with you, and when this waltz finishes, she'll leave you with them. What do you say? Or tell us about how this dance plays out.
Well, yeah, she'll let her lead. Well, she's interested in this lady. She doesn't feel threatened by her, so she'll dance close and she'll nod and smile and accept wherever the hell she's going to lead her towards. Hopefully, it's not that.
I mean, she's just leading you around the dance floor. She's not leading you anywhere. She's just like leading the dance. Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely tight and intimate. She holds you closer than you would have expected. Do you want to talk to her at all while you're dancing? Is there anything that you say to her? Are you just trying to evaluate her? Like, what are you?
I'll ask. Are you the one that invited us? I'm part of Hargrave House, as you've probably heard.
I have heard of Hargrave House. It's very kind of you to accept my invitation. There have been so many strange things in London recently, and I understand that you are the experts on strange things in London.
I'm going to say, well, I don't normally brag, but I did manage to banish a vampire last week, and I'm just going to see if any, shock or anything.
There's no expression of shock on her face.
Shit. That's not good.
She quietly, she almost laughs under her breath, and she says, "Yes, I know. I followed your affairs. I think maybe that's where we'll leave that scene for now, unless Helena wants to ask anything else."
No, I'm too scared now.
All right. So, Jim Fletcher, you're off talking to this gentleman in tweeds. And as you talk, you notice that his eyes are like daggers at Helena at the moment. He's not moving. He's not reacting physically. But you sense that he is ready to spring at any moment if Helena were to try anything. But what he tells you is, so you sort of asked him if he'd ever seen anything as extraordinary or something to that effect. And he says that he has seen many extraordinary things. Just recently, he was at a small gathering hosted by Reginald Baines, an event where, for the amusement of the guests, the Baines hired some fortune tellers in town at the moment. And it's clear to you that he's talking about the Coven. He says, now poor Mr. Baines, for some reason, whenever he tries to refer to the sun, he can only call it the day star, no matter how hard he tries. I find that quite extraordinary. And so that is a clue.
With that, I will, in proper kind of excessively masculine fashion, slap him on the back. Now I thought Ms. Braithwaite there was impressive already, but did you see what my friend did? And then kind of do the the backhand sort of like slap him on the chest as I leave. I gotta find something a little more fun in this party.
He says, well, before you go, Miss Braithwaite would appreciate your assistance with a small matter. I understand that you are investigating the Fig family at the moment. I have a message for Titus Fig. Or we have a message for Titus Fig. I'd appreciate it if you would deliver it for us.
I'm sure we could arrange that.
And that's when you notice that there's another person listening to your conversation. She's been standing just behind you the whole time. Young and beautiful. She's dressed in riding togs, and she's, sort of sneering a little, although she's trying to look pleasant right now, I think. She smells of leather and probably horse as well. And she hands you an envelope sealed with wax.
Okay.
Says, "You're American, aren't you?"
What gave it away?
The stupidity.
Wow, that is a mighty aggressive choice there.
Well, you are a guest in my home.
Oh, this is your house.
Well, my mother's.
Oh, I see. Well, given that this is your home, I will not follow that up the way I might normally, and I think I will see myself over to one of them dress-up dolls.
You do that. And as you leave, you hear her say to the tweeted gentleman, "He's cute for an American." Let's have our last unseen prompt. So, Dr. Malik, I'll get you to read the question, and then I'll get all three of you to answer this one.
Yeah, so in a lean, that's right. In a lean-to slump, in a reeking alley,
I think we're on the
a
next
small.
one.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
the fourth one.
No problem. Paint the scene. Describe someone we see making their way back to their home through the cramped alleys and the desperation that has led them here. Ooh. And we'll all take turns answering this one. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think what we see, I kind of want this to be like a really strange, mysterious thing, but like the servant that the vampire borrowed last time, Miss Gloria, I think
Gloria,
her name was.
yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's someone who suspiciously looks a lot like her. Like at first you like think it's Gloria, but you realize like it's someone younger, like a younger sister making her way through it.
Helena?
I think it's a guy coming home from a party. He's kind of waltzing with himself down the alley, and in his mind, he's got a big smile, and he thinks he's waltzing really well. But it's obvious he's shit-faced, and he's staggering all over the place, and he's just had too much. But yeah, he's staggering down the cobblestone alley, and yeah, he's drunk too much.
I will say we see a sort of a street urchin, but maybe a little old, like maybe like early teenager kind of neighborhood. So not quite a child. And they're pretty grimy looking with tattered clothing and such. And they are sneaking into a home where they kind of steal a couple of things, maybe some food, maybe something that they might be able to pawn. And we notice that their face is very similar to a family portrait that is on the wall. Like perhaps this is their family's home, and then they scamper off.
All right. So, Dr. Malik, you had asked His Highness about strangenesses, and you rolled a miss. However, because of the special move, the reward that Miss Reeves has, you will still get 1 extra clue when you roll the information move.
Wow, yeah.
So even on the miss, you're going to get at least 1 clue. But I'm gonna so that you have at least 1 clue that is like coming, and I probably will give it to you in the dawn phase. I think that's when it's going to make most sense narratively. Or if you want, you can put a mask on. But what you see is that as you ask him these things, and he starts this sort of very vague and airy reply about other worlds, about the veil, about, the terrible thing that is about to unfold right before our very eyes. And then before you realize what he said, you see one of the women in the room with you stab her friend brutally, fatally, in full view of everyone around you. Blood pours across the floor. The threesome up on the podium, who everyone had been watching, their rhythm is completely thrown off. People who were lying near to where the blood is pooling start like picking up their stuff and moving away. Nobody acts like they're terribly shocked that a murder has happened at one of Theodora's balls, but nobody wants to be too close to it. What do you do?
Oh no, I was gonna put on a mask, but there's a corpse now. What is this conundrum? Wait. Oh my gosh. I'm so torn.
Do you want us to come back to you?
I'm gonna struggle with this for a moment. Yeah, so please.
All right. So Helena, Theodora Braithewaite, like at the end of your dance, leads you to sort of the side of the dance floor, and she thanks you. She says it's been a pleasure and that she hopes that you will dance again before too long. And then, without really releasing you, she almost like physically hands you to the person that she intends for you to dance with next. It's a tall woman. She has a black veil over her face rather than a mask per se.
Shit.
But you know that it's the leader of the coven. She says in her sort of whispery, dark voice, "Hello again, Helena." And begins to again lead the dance. What do you do?
Yeah, fake smile, dance, not as close.
She says, "You must know that we'll complete the great ritual soon. Wouldn't you rather be with us than against us? We could use her. Well, someone like you. And you know what will become of you if you stand against us."
She'll say, "You don't really need me, but then I don't need you. I can do better rituals without you. I found much more powerful people." And smile.
She will look to Theodora as you refer to more powerful people. She'll say, "Well, yes, I saw the two of you together. Looked very intimate, very cozy. Is that your relationship with Miss Braithwaite now?"
I'm sure you'll try and find out at some point.
"I don't want to hurt you, Helena, but you know that we will and that we can and that we will have, quite frankly. Your little magics around your little house won't keep us out forever. And when the ritual is complete, if you don't stand with us, you'll be turned like all the others."
Hmm. It's certainly a tempting offer, but I think I'll have one of my friends shoot you in the head instead.
I've been shot in the head before. It didn't take then. I don't see why I should be worried now. I think we'll wrap that little scene there.
Shit.
Jim Fletcher, what do you do as this goes on?
I'm gonna do what I said I was gonna do, and I'm gonna go over to the nearest live dress-up doll, and I would love to use this at the ball move and see who I encounter. And you get to tell me, since I am apparently the most beloved.
Okay, so what's the scandalous pleasure that you indulge? Like, you're just playing dress-ups with these bodies?
Yeah, I feel like that's like kind of live dress-up is plenty scandalous in and of itself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that you are surprised to find that Theodora's daughter has followed you over here and is dressing the same bodies that you're dressing, watching you closely as flesh is unveiled, giving you those eyes. Do you stumble on a mastermind clue, or does Theodora's daughter owe you a favor?
Yeah, I really I was ready for the mastermind clue until you told me who it was. I feel like I have to get a favor here. And I think the way I'll do this is that while we're kind of like playing with the clothes and sort of like I'm like kind of acting like she's not there, even though it's pretty obvious who she is, given that I saw her, 30 seconds ago. And I want to say I noticed her too, because I rolled well on my curse that I smelled the horses on her before she arrived. And the horse smell is something that Jim Fletcher knows very well. So kind of almost like a mini flashback to maybe someone else in his life who smelled like horses. And kind of as she arrives, he's going to oversell his intoxication a little bit. And instead of taking off his hat and putting it on the model, he's going to put it on Theodora's daughter, whose name he doesn't know yet. And just kind of give her a wink and be like, you can keep that one. And I will actually give up my wide-brimmed hat from my personal quarters.
Nice.
Just for flavor.
So at this point, you hear some like screams and gasps from the other room as the murder that Dr. Malik saw happened. Unless it turns out the murder didn't happen, but certainly you hear some screams all the same. And she takes the hat off her head. She inhales deeply. She smells your hat. She says, once I get a man's scent, I can always find him.
We might both be able to do that.
You are hunter too, Mr. Fletcher.
Oh, indeed. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to the States, but hunting is something of a national pastime.
I wonder if we mean the same thing by hunting. Have you ever been on a proper English hunt? Hooves roaring through the glen, the thrill of leaping over hedges, the feeling of all that power between your legs.
I mean, I know plenty about power, but hedges and glens sounds a bit tame compared to the rivers, mountains, and forests I'm used to.
I suppose it depends on the game.
You got bears in these parts?
I don't believe we do, no.
Oh,
why? Why do you ask?
Oh, it's just something special about finding a real large grizzly bear in a place you don't expect.
All right. I would like to cap that scene there. I think that's great. So she will owe you a favor.
Excellent.
Dr. Malik, do you or do you not put a mask on?
I don't put a mask on.
All right. So what do you do instead as the blood pools across the floor?
I think we see the good doctor, like his face just suddenly becomes very professional and impassive. And he steps up and he says, allow me to take care of this. I'm in a way that wouldn't dampen the festivities and the event further. And yeah, I'm going to. I think we're not going to go into too much detail, but I think Malik just sort of waits for them to die, just watching, right?
Oh,
just sort
nice.
of impassively, Oh, why am I playing such a horrible person? Okay. Yeah, and I think there's a glint of like excitement in their eyes as they watch the blood pool, right? And I'm going to use beneath the skin as a move. So when you examine a corpse, you may ask the keeper two of the following. I know how they died. Well, I think I know how they died. Admittedly, it could be something else. But I will ask, what would an untrained eye overlook here? The keeper will answer with a clue.
Let me see. And what will your second choice there be?
Can I take a body part for the child without anyone noticing? And particularly the blood. There seems to be a generous, copious amount from the stab. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you cannot take a body part without being noticed. Everyone at the party will see. You won't easily do it. You can try making the night move to see if you can do it. But certainly there are a lot of people around, including quite powerful figures in society. I think that's the chief of police you see over there without his pants. There's some conservative politicians, some progressive politicians, all kinds of important people. But yeah, you can try and take the blood. I'm still working on your clue, but do you want to try and take the blood at risk of being seen?
I do, and I think I'm going to do it through composure. Like I'm going to try to pretend that this is just about helping dispose of the body as quickly as possible, right? I'm trying to pretend that I'm just attending to things. Okay, so I'm going to. I assume this is a night move. Yeah. So I'm going to say what I'm worried will happen. Yeah, I'm worried that someone is going to be able to trace this back. Not to me necessarily. I assume the doctor already has a bad reputation because of what happened in his past. But to the rest of my associates, right? That's what I'm worried about.
So it's worse than you fear, because Theodora will hold onto this as evidence and potentially use it to blackmail you later.
Delicious. Okay.
You can back down now if you want.
No, I'm on this dark path. So here we go. I mean, the advantage, I'm going to still mark another thing anyway, just in case it helps. I'm going to mark. I'm going to mark a cane, a walking stick that used to belong to someone else. And so the way that happens is like, I sort of like tap the walking stick in this sort of like rhythmic way to sort of like show like I'm the person in control here and I know what I'm doing before I set it aside. And yeah, let's see how the roll goes. Wait, sorry, just checking my stats. Just to be, oops, did not mean to click that. Okay. All right. Here we go. Oh, that's much better. Like, sorry, it's just 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in total.
So on a 7 to 9, you do it or hold steady, but there is a complication or cost. Let's see. So you get so it's the blood that you're taking, is that right? Yeah. So I think that the complication is that you'll take the condition bloodstained. Your beautiful outfit now sort of marks you out in some way. But several of Theodora's servants will turn up to assist you. They'd come to remove the body, but they are happy to assist a guest in whatever way they can, and helping you exsanguinate the corpse is certainly within their regular duties. The clue that you get, so I think it just makes sense here that you're going to get a mastermind clue rather than a mystery clue. And I think that as they help you, they sort of talk obscurely, but you can piece it together about another corpse that they had to dispose of recently when a rival of Theodora's, a social rival, came over for tea, and after the tea they had to dispose of the body. So you can record that as a mastermind clue, but that's what you hear as they discreetly remove the body from your presence after you get the blood out of it. And that, I think, is the end of our night phase.
Ooh, I do also get to, because I keep forgetting to do this, I get to, because I acquired a body part of the child, narrate a brief, pleasant memory of the person.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I think what happens is there's a memory of, because of course it was my former husband who did all the cooking at home, and I think there's a scene where like the knife kind of looks very much like the dagger that stabbed the woman earlier, and so there's a part where he cuts himself by accident, and Malik has to quickly and gently like attends to the wounds, and says, "You really shouldn't push yourself too hard, my dear. We can always get the servants to cook. I don't know why you insist on doing this." Before like the scene fades back to Malik being attended to by the servants.
Nice. All right. So it's going to be the dawn phase then. So in the dawn phase, we collect rewards if a threat was resolved. Obviously, that doesn't apply. The second step is to answer your dawn questions. So just go through and check whether you're collecting any XP. I, again, just as always, trust your judgment on this, but if there's any that you're not sure about, feel free to ask.
Well, does the mastermind or the leader of the coven count as a dark entity?
Wait, what's the question?
Did you have a face-to-face encounter with a dark entity? I'm like,
oh, yeah, surely one or both of them counts. Yeah.
Leader of the coven, if nothing else.
Yeah, that's what I think. And when you're done with that, then if you want to change any of your optional, like your elective dawn questions, you can either leave those the same or change any if you want. And then we will resolve any playbook or custom moves that are resolved during the dawn phase. So, Dr. Malik, I want to start with, sorry, what's his name again? Your assistant, who's not Miss Reeves?
Oh, right. Oh, wow. I have a collection of assistants, I realized. So it's Harley White.
That's right.
Yes.
Harley White was what? Searching for other valuables last night?
Yeah, that's right.
So you get to ask another hunter what they found.
Yeah, I'll ask Yeah, Helena. What did Harley White pick up for me from someone else's grave?
I'm thinking it's an onyx signet ring, like they remember of some sort of club or guild or something. So it's like a pinky ring, but onyx.
Beautiful. I love that.
All right. And Dr. Malik, do you have any other moves that trigger in the dawn phase? I think
Let's
that's
see. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Helena, do you have any moves that trigger in the dawn phase?
Sounds a bit dodgy, but no, I don't.
All right. And Jim Fletcher, I know that you have a clue coming, right, from rolling your 13 on your...
I do. These are always a little bit tricky because they're supposed to come from my enhanced senses. And so...
I mean, if you want to make this a mastermind clue, I'm happy for you to do that.
Interesting.
Because that's, for the most part, what you would have been able to sense last night. Although, of course, the Coven, some members of the Coven were there too, so that also works.
All right. I will say that while I was interacting with Theodora's daughter, whose name I still didn't catch, which I kind of love that. I was able to, and maybe this is after some of my interactions with Ms. Reeves as well, the scent of a particularly fine brandy on her, perhaps on her breath, or at least on her person in some way. So she smelled of particularly fine brandy.
Nice.
In addition to horses.
Horses and fine brandy is a nice way to be.
Not a bad day.
And do you have any other moves that resolve during the dawn phase? All right. I don't think that anyone has any Janus mask props that are still unresolved. All right. Then we will move into the day phase, and I will start by presenting a new threat. So just a reminder, we have Figs Pigs active at the moment, as well as the Coven. The rules require me to introduce a new threat in the day phase if there are less than 3 active threats. So this will sort of max out your threat situation. Sorry, bear with me. So the Daily Telegraph has a story about a washerwoman named Clara Yarborough, who was found dead in a hallway of her tenement house in Whitechapel. Her face had been carefully removed. This is the 3rd such crime this month. The other 2 victims, Edward Clive and Dolly Merriweather, also lived in Whitechapel. People are already saying it's old Sally No Face who's doing it, but Sally No Face is just a legend. Children have been singing her song in the streets for as long as anyone can remember. Poor old Sally, trapped in a fire, who looks burned up without a trace. If you're lovely with fate was dire, she'll come and take your lovely face. I'm just noticing how many songs there are in the present the threat sections of the Between Mysteries. I think, Jim Fletcher, you have a history with Clara Yarborough. What is it?
I will say we were romantically involved temporarily.
Nice. Was that? I guess I won't ask too much about your past, but it must have been fairly recent because I don't imagine you've been in town that long. Exactly. All right. Now I'm just going to copy some details of this threat over into the. Oops, there we go. Over here, I know that someone mentioned in the chat that you might want to start answering some questions. Are there any mysteries where you feel ready to think about answering a question?
each of so for Figs Pigs, we have to answer all 3 to resolve it, right? And
Yeah,
resolve
that's
all
right.
3.
Yeah, and just for clarity, I noticed in the rules that where there are like multiple questions and opportunities that you must resolve to resolve the threat, it's only the last one that has to be done in the night phase. So you can resolve some of the sort of sub threats during the day phase if you want.
Okay, so we could theoretically go find Obert Fig during the day phase.
Could find a couple of the figs during the day phase and see how that goes.
Okay. I mean, those are only a complexity of 2, but we don't have that many clues at the same time. We could probably handle 1 or do a little bit of investigating and find 2, something like that. As threatening as the Coven is, we do have mechanically some time on it.
Well, you mentioned you had a letter or whatever, so yeah, maybe we could go and have a look at where the pie shop is or something.
Yeah, and that letter was for
the father who's in the hospital, who's already been arrested.
Thank you.
So we could have a look around like the shop, see if we find anything, and then try and answer one of the questions or something.
Yeah, I don't think you were here, Blake, when Jim Fletcher went to the shop last time, but I don't think he'd be in a hurry to go back, at least by himself. Maybe with the rest of you present.
Yeah, that was when I got my head stuck in a guillotine.
What?
So you got it. I'll see if I can find where that was in the recording, but that was an impressive hard move by Shane that I quickly threw a mask on for. It was incredible.
Right. And so just to let you know, you also have a mask that goes with the Sally No-Face threat that you can use while you're investigating. It's called the Mask of Beauty, and each hunter narrates a flashback to a time when they felt truly beautiful. I'm just putting that in the keeper now. All right, so there was some talk about going to the shop. There was some talk about maybe going to see Mr. Fig in the hospital, perhaps. I guess I'll just go around and ask you each what you're thinking of doing, or do you want some more time to coordinate amongst yourselves? Dr. Malik? Oh, sorry, Jim, what are you going to say?
I was going to say, I have the idea that Jim Fletcher will actually share this letter with his colleagues and ask their advice on whether we should deliver it or just open it.
So it's a letter from who to who again? Sorry.
I received it from Ms. Braithwaite's daughter. So I don't know exactly who it's from unless it says.
So it won't. It has the Braithwaite seal in the wax.
Yeah.
It came from the tweeted gentleman who was plainly one of Theodora's servants.
Okay. So from the gentleman from the.
It was the younger Miss Braithwaite who gave it to you, but yeah, he kind of relayed the request. That's
right. Okay. And then it is for Titus Fig, who is the one Fig. We kind of know his location. He's essentially being held in the asylum. And we're looking for the rest of his family is the Fig's issue. And so I'm curious about what the Braithwaites might say to Mr. Fig. And I'm not entirely sure whether we should actually run this errand or not. But incurring Ms. Braithwaite's wrath seems ill-advised.
I mean, they didn't say you have to do it immediately. You can put it on the to-do list sort of thing and do some other stuff first.
Let's just kind of put it on the shelf.
I think what the doctor will suggest is, sometimes for the safety of our patients, we had to go through their letters just to make sure that there was nothing untoward, you understand. And we had to learn how to open the letters, read through it carefully, and replace the letters as if they had been tampered with. So if that is a thing you would like us to do, Mr. Fletcher, though I understand that being dishonest is difficult for you, he says teasingly. But it is something that I would be more than happy to assist you with.
I mean, if that's something you think you can manage, Doctor.
For you, Mr. Fletcher, I'm sure I can manage something as simple as this.
So I think that I'm inclined to say that if you want to do this, it's going to be the information move. And what we're testing is whether it produces a clue or not, rather than whether you can do it per se.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I like it.
All right. Well, go ahead and roll the information move. So roll with an appropriate ability. I think composure makes sense to me. Like, it's sort of fine manual work. It's really about holding your hands steady and things like that.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like that makes sense too. All right, so okay, rolling. That's a 7 in total, right?
All right. So there's a complication either with the clue itself or a complication you encounter while searching. So this seems pretty easy. So what you get inside the envelope is a small book of pressed flowers, and written on the inside cover are the words, "For my little sweet one." And you can treat this as a clue for Fig's Pigs. However, Dr. Malik's hand was not as steady as he had hoped. The envelope is torn, and there is no way that you'll be able to pass this off as an unopened letter now.
No, I promise. I was so I was so arrogant with Mr. Fletcher. I'm going to put on a mask just for this. I'm not going to put on a mask for the poor woman who was killed, but for this torn envelope, I will do so.
But don't forget, you also have the threat specific masks if you want to use one of them. So there is one for Fig's Pigs.
Wow, I love this one. I feel like this is a bit much for
the moment.
For the moment, maybe later I wouldn't mind. Yeah, so I'm going to narrate. Let's see.
Well, we can wait and do the mask at the dusk phase, right? We can narrate it later.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, if you'd like to.
Okay, yeah. Sure. So maybe I can, if everybody's okay with me marking the mask of the pig, if people are okay with that.
I'm fine with it. It looks like Blake stepped away for a second.
Yeah. I'll mark it first, and if not, I can mark one of my own. No worries, and then we can narrate it later.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
So Blake, just to let you know, while you're away, Dr. Malik badly tore the envelope, making it obvious that the three of you had opened up Ms. Braithwaite's letter, but has marked the mask of the pig, the threat-specific mask for Fig's Pigs, with the intention that you'll actually do the narration that goes with that during the dusk phase, I think. All right. So,
can I say I was distracted by Mr. Fletcher? That's why I tore the envelope. It's a terrible distraction as American.
All right. Let's take our next break here, and then we'll come back about 5 minutes past the hour and do some investigating.
Sounds good.
See you then.
See ya.
Sorry about the crappy sound today. I'm using the laptop by Wi-Fi in the lounge room.
It seems fine. Yeah.
Jolly good. Just the depths of shit our group is currently in. Wow.
And I mean, basically, the rules say that you can't have, like, as they build up, once they get to 3 threats, it's never going to fall under 3 threats. Like, if you resolve one, I have to introduce another one.
Yeah.
So it's going to stay like this, basically, for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I'm just a bit. I'm not sure what I can actually do about any of them.
Just keep plugging away.
Yeah, we've got to get some more clues.
I mean, you're doing pretty well on the coven. Like, you got what, like 5 coven clues already. That's pretty good. Only need a few more to think about answering that question. And you think there's, probably a few days left before they're able to complete the grand ritual?
Yeah, I mean, as a player, I knew they were going to be there and they were going to, try and interact with us. It seems a no-brainer that was going to happen, but I didn't expect the head of the ball lady to just be so casual about, oh yeah, here they go. Oh, shit.
I feel like,
Because
Shane, you've just like taken the gloves off and you're just going straight for the throat every time.
yeah,
Well, that's the game, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we're all back. So it's daytime, probably late morning by now. You've got a message for Mr. Fig sealed back up in its envelope. You've also, you know that some of the figs are probably still around the old pie shop. Maybe you can figure out a way to lure Obit Fig out to you somewhere that you could deal with him. What's the plan, Blake?
Yeah, I've changed my mind about the fig thing. I'm just gonna look around, get like reagents and stuff or rituals and that I'd need, but also kind of look around for like signs of the coven if they've done like sigils on alley walls or if they've put little hex bags around and just that sort of stuff. I'm scouting around, see if they've been putting stuff in our neighborhood.
Oh, in your neighborhood. Okay, it's interesting. Okay, do you have a move that's about like walking around London, right? Is that going to trigger here? Oh, that's at night. Sorry, I just looked.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, this is more information. Just see if I can see if they're up to stuff and trying to hide it.
Okay, Dr. Malik, what are you going to do today?
I'm going to, let's see. Yeah, I think I'm going to follow someone else's lead, like from a player perspective, because I'm not completely sure about what's going on with the mystery, but also from a character perspective, right? Like I'm so lost with that mystery. I've been looking. I've just been like, I think we cut to Malik like outside the door. She needs to rest. Okay. And then but because of it, Malik's a little overly attached to other people today.
And Jim Fletcher, what will you do?
So I really want to lure out Obert Fig. I guess if Helena's wandered off, maybe with Dr. Malik here, I really want to get back that guy. He's creeping me out. So yeah, the question we need to answer is, what type of victim does Obert Fig prefer? And a little bit of the context is he was at the bakery, and I wandered down into the basement where I found a corpse that had been injected with marmalade, and like a trail of marmalade leading down there. And as I was kind of there by myself, he was at the top of the stairs, and we had a bad interaction that I used a mask for, and then I kind of brushed past him, and so yeah, I'm sort of thinking there's like that dried dots of marmalade, right? It's kind of evidence of something he's done, and I'm not exactly sure what else we can figure out. But again, what type of victim does he prefer?
And he almost attacked you, right? But the mask undid that. Is that right?
Yeah, like I tried to brush past him physically, and failed gloriously. So
I think he did stab you anyway on your way out, but just not too seriously.
That's right. He's much tougher than he looks.
Wow. Yeah, I would say I'm looking at the clues. So we're trying to answer the question correct. So
right.
I think dots of dried marmalade, and the body's filled with it. Doesn't that mean like he's attracted to people he wants to make sweeter? Like he wants to, right? Like maybe there's something about their personality and who they are that he doesn't like, and so there's this weird like if you fill them up with marmalade and make them into someone more palatable. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because sorry, Blake, feel free to be part of the answer a question conversation, even though your character is doing something different.
Right. Yeah, it can be very meta. And do we want to bring in, tries to block out the sun in his room? Like there's a part of him that's taking care of these
I think
corpses.
What's tough here is that was Titus Fig, the father, who's in the hospital.
Oh, got it. Okay, different Fig.
Yeah, there's a lot of figs going on.
Is it customers or people that are hungry? He wants to eat people that want food, sort of thing. Share his gluttony or something.
Yeah, so we did see the belongings were formed in a giant nest, but there were a lot of belongings. So he's doing this at the bakery.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I like that. That's helpful.
Yeah, I think so.
And
I was going to say delicious, but that sounds inappropriate right now. Anyway, yes.
But yeah, like people who frequent the bakery, like regular customers, perhaps. And maybe a third one to at least get us a +1 here. The fibers of blue cloth, maybe like as we kind of tussled, I pulled those from either his clothing or some of the clothing in the nest. Like there was something there. I don't know if that really tells us. Maybe the blue cloth is blue is a pretty rare color to dye things, so it's not a common color. So maybe he targets the wealthier customers very specifically.
Right. That sounds very cool. Yeah. Because a bright color like blue is more expensive. Yeah.
It'd be hard to come by. Are you okay with +1 here?
We could try to. Oh, that's hard because then we'd have to use the new one maybe.
And we also have 2 more questions to answer on this. This is like a deceptive one, right? It's like it's only a 2, but we have to do it 3 times.
Yeah. I am okay with rolling at a +1.
All right. So we're saying wealthy people who frequent bakeries, and he tries to sweeten them.
But I feel that also applies to the my sweet little one, right? My little sweet one, right? Like anyway, but yeah, there seems to be this ongoing theme of sweetness. But yeah. I'll leave it to you.
Can I just ask, when you say that he tries to sweeten them, does that mean that we think he looks for people who he already perceives as sweet, or people he perceives as sour, people he perceives as lacking flavor?
Yeah. I think more like these are sour, tasteless people. Like there's a kind of like, oh, if only, the kind of skeevy kind of like vibe of like, oh, darling, if he smiled more, you'd be prettier. Like that kind of, all right. If he were a little sweeter, right?
Maybe he also looks for salty people because they're already seasoned. It's terrible. Yeah, no, I like kind of distasteful, wealthy people who frequent the bakery.
Right. Yeah, that sounds almost fair, but not really because he's still ordering people and filling them with marmalade. But
yeah, and that
sounds right because they were a well-known brand, weren't they? So that kind of fits in with they would have those customers come in.
All right.
So who's going to roll?
can take this one.
Yeah, my luck hasn't been super great. So,
So we got. We're just at a +1. Oof.
no,
Alright.
what did we get? Oh gosh.
So just by way of reminder, if you want to put a mask on here, all the hunters must put a mask on to increase that to a 7 to 9. On a 6-, the answer is incorrect, and the keeper reacts. So I'll let you, maybe you can think about that a little bit. Blake, you're welcome to contribute to that conversation as well, but I want to follow up a little bit about your walking tour of London. Do you want to say anything about putting on a mask, not putting on a mask?
No, I'd definitely rather put on a mask. We got enough shit piled against us. Let's not add more.
Oh, but how's Jim's HP going though with the number of masks you have?
It's getting tight, but I'm okay.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm personally okay with
playbooks if you need them.
They're so attached to Mr. Fletcher. I'm okay with dealing with a complication in this case, but that's just my vote.
Yeah, so add a mask so that it's a success with a complication.
No.
I'm right now.
Yeah. I'm okay with it being a miss. I don't mind trying again. But yeah, that's just my vote. I'm good either way.
All right. Well, I'll let you think about it. I'll come back to this in a sec. So, Helena, you were sort of you're touring specifically the neighbourhood around Hargrave House. Is that right, or some other part of London? Okay.
No, around our place because I'm expecting them to target us.
All right. Well, I reckon just go ahead and roll the information move to see what you can figure out. I would think with sensitivity, or maybe with composure if you're just trying to keep your cool.
No, sensitivity. I'm trying to get the vibes and all of that. So,
right.
And 3.
All right.
Hang on. That's a 7 because I've got 3.
Okay. It's not as bad as it looked. All right. Well, let me have a look. So as you tour the neighborhood, looking for patterns, looking for signs, you have the strong feeling that someone is watching you, and the complication that you're going to get is the condition being watched. So if you want, you're welcome to put on another mask to wipe away that condition. The clue that you find, well, at first you don't find anything. I think you're out walking for quite some time, getting pretty frustrated that you don't seem able to find anything. You're sure there should be signs somewhere of the Coven's magic, but you're just not finding anything. And then you notice that for a while now, there's been something stuck to the bottom of your shoe. When you reach down to see what it is, you find a tarot card, the Devil. How they got stuck to your foot, not really sure. But once you notice it, you start seeing it everywhere. On the back cover, printed on the back of a newspaper that a man is reading across the street. Lying in the gutter. Certainly you see a tarot reader, performing for passers-by, trying to hustle change. The Devil is the card that falls from their grip as you happen to pass by. A strange reflection in a puddle in the street that looks like the picture on the Devil card. Just many, many reflections and reiterations of the Devil. What do you do with that?
Think about sailing to America. Yeah, I mean, I've got the feeling they're going to try and break my ward, so I'll gather sort of ritual components or whatever, so I can, do the magical stuff I need to do. So, a bit of shopping to get that stuff and go home.
All right.
Because I think I'm going to need it.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like that works fictionally, but mechanically, like I think you rolled well enough that your wards will hold. Like as a mechanic, that is going to work for you. I'm not gonna take that back or mess with it.
Okay.
The So going back now to Malik and Jim Fletcher, you think that you've worked out what sort of victim Obert likes. Are you going to put on a mask and have that be a correct answer, or are you not going to put on a mask and find out what happens?
Seeing what Jamie wrote in the chat, I'm 3 masks is feeling expensive for this question, so I'm okay dealing with your reaction.
Okay. So, if this had been correct, what would have been the next move? Like, one of you would have pretended to be a wealthy, sour bakery customer?
Who
Which
could
one
that
of
possibly be? Who would it be? I'm just all sweetness over here with the doctor. Yeah, I would have been bait.
Doctor.
So, I'm just going to frame the scene where you step inside the bakery then, dressed as a wealthy customer. The bakery is like boarded up and dusty, so there's no real no real possibility that you're a legitimate customer. Jim Fletcher, where are you as this happens? Nearby, like by the doctor's side? What is happening?
I would say like hiding within sight, though. So, I guess since we fail, I will say attempting to blend in with a crowd across the street and perhaps being too tall, too large, and too loud to do that effectively.
Nice. So I'm just scrolling through my PDF. So Dr. Malik, you step inside the shop. You can tell this was like a popular pie shop when it was still open. What do? There's nobody visibly around. You can see a back room behind the counter. I assume that Jim Fletcher has warned you about the guillotine in the basement. There's also an upstairs that nobody has visited yet.
Yeah, I think at first, so I don't see anybody. Oh, yeah, I think I'm gonna try to go upstairs. But should it be open? Should there be people, or are we like sneaking in? Is that what's happening?
It's been closed down since Titus Fig was arrested for putting human bodies in his pies.
Right. Legitimate.
Something.
The Scotland Yard has to do its job sometimes, right? So, like.
Well, it's actually Scotland Yard that's asked you to help with this investigation.
Okay, that's them doing their job, though. So, go to the real professionals. So I think I'm gonna go upstairs. I'm gonna sneak around because I'm absolutely sure that Mr. Fletcher has my back, and it's totally not a bad idea to go upstairs by myself.
Okay, so you go upstairs. You find the flat where the figs used to live. You see comfortable beds, delicate cream-coloured wallpaper, the smell of lemon and mint all around, and in front of you, a naked body, the head removed and replaced with that of a pig, posed as the figurehead of a shrine, with human teeth and tusks scattered all around in the shape of pagan sigils. What do?
I stay focused. It takes a moment. And I think I'm going to try to make sense of what I'm looking at. Like there's a ritual worship of some kind, and I figure I just need to move as quickly as possible before whoever set this up comes back.
So you're going to examine the body? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, examine the body.
All right, so what do you want to... Which choices will you make?
Yeah, when I look beneath the skin, I'm going to ask... You know what? I'm going to ask 2 to get 2 clues so we can nom 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 the clues a bit.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask both, how did this person die? And, and I guess the question is, were they already dead when the head was cut off, or was that something that happened after? And what would an untrained eye overlook here? Distracted as they would be by this particular display.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So there is a heap of clothing that's been discarded nearby, and the clothes are covered in blood. So that's what you notice in connection with how this person died. What does Dr. Malik think? Does the blood look more like this person was decapitated after they died, or was that how they died?
Yeah. I think I noticed, like, by, the shirt or wherever, like the collar, there isn't a lot of blood. In fact, the blood is more concentrated in the gut area, right? Like it's more like they were being cut open. I'm not going to go into further detail, but like how you deal with a pig, right?
Okay.
Lots
and what
of CSI stuff again. Yeah.
And I mean, what an untrained eye, or really like what someone less comfortable with, anyone but you would be so overwhelmed by this horrifying sight that they would never notice anything else. But you, I mean, barely phased, I think, by what's happened to this body. You notice that in this bedroom is a very large collection of torn opera tickets. So that is the second clue that you get here. Behind you, a voice says, "Did you think you would fool me like this?" And he stabs you.
Yeah, just when I'm studying and I realize how the victims were stabbed and killed, that's what starts to happen to me. Yeah.
So you're going to take the condition stabbed in the back.
Ooh. Okay, got it.
Obert the Blade is now standing over you. You can see him looking down at you. He's holding a butcher's knife as long as your leg. What do you do?
I mean, aside from crying out in pain, as my initial reaction, I think I'm going to turn around and what did he ask me? Like, you didn't think you were gonna?
He said you thought you were going to fool him. Like, he's referring to your attempt.
Yeah, my disguise. Yeah. And I say, "Oh, I'm sorry, my dear. Am I not quite your type? Am I not what you were looking for?" I say.
Like, what are you trying to do here?
I'm trying to get a clue. I'm trying to force him to tell me what's going on a little bit, or give away something about himself.
All right. Well, you can make the information move here, but you're going to roll it with disadvantage because you're stabbed in the back.
100%. If I mark something, can it cancel out the disadvantage?
Yeah, that will cancel out.
Yeah. Just so that I have a slightly better chance. I'm going to... I have my surgeon's bag with the bone saw and scalpels, and I'm going to say that I took some of those. Am I pronouncing it right? Scalpels? I forget at the moment. But I have a few in my waistcoat, and I pull one out and I quickly go for. I'm not going to go into detail. Go for a sensitive area that won't necessarily kill him in the moment, but it'll be like a really flashy flesh wound, right? I'm hoping the blood at least will distract him, so make things a little difficult.
All right, so I think that this must be the information move with vitality. Does that seem right?
Yeah, that is accurate. Okay. So, let's see. I'm just checking my stats. Okay. All right, rolling. Oh my gosh, are you kidding? I'm gonna put on a mask. So at least it's my mask, and it's not gonna affect Joe. So.
All right. Well, then I guess you won't mark the condition sliced throat. But let's come back to you and find out what happens. Think about what mask you're going to want to put on. Jim Fletcher, you hear a scream from upstairs in Fig's Pigs. What do you do?
Straight in. Just running in, gun drawn, ready to sort this out.
All right. So, I mean, the noise came from upstairs. You rush up after the noise. You see Obert the Blade standing there over Dr. Malik. What do you do?
Yeah. I mean, Gabe knows I can't resolve the threat right now, but Jim does not. So he worked with the vampires. So Jim's going to try to fill Obert Fig full of holes.
All right. We'll roll the day move. What are you afraid will happen if you fail?
Since they're in pretty close contact, I'm afraid I'm going to hit Dr. Malik if Jamie's alright.
Oh, nice. Well, roll with an appropriate ability.
I think we said shooting is composure.
That makes sense.
And then I am using my Colt revolver, so I will get advantage there. So that is a 9.
Nice. So on a 7 to 9, the keeper will tell you how your actions would leave you vulnerable, and you can choose to back down or go through with it. If you go through with it, the keeper describes what it looks like. So you can do this. You can wound Obert badly enough that he will slink away. He will escape.
Yeah.
But you'll stop him in the moment. But you won't notice the other member of the family who is shot.
I like it. Let's go.
Okay with that? All right. So you get your shot off. Obert the Blade was thought that he might already have killed Dr. Malik, but was about to make sure. Instead, as the bullet penetrates his shoulder, he rushes to the upstairs window and dives out. Dr. Malik, just before he was shot, you had tried to get some information from him, and he cut your throat for it. But you were thinking you were going to put a mask on and change that? What's the mask that you're putting on?
Yeah, I'm going to put on the Mask of the Past, narrate a flashback to the happiest day you shared with the person you lost, I think. I think, like, for a moment, we see, like, the cut and the blood well up around the neck. And instead it fades into a flashback of a necklace being placed around around Malik's neck. And Malik saying, you know that I can't possibly wear this in public. And I think Dr. Malik's husband says, that's true, but you'll wear it just for me on this special day, just for the two of us. And I think it was like our anniversary.
Nice. So you will get a clue. Sorry, can you remind me, what was it that you had asked Obert before you tried to stab him?
Yeah. I asked him, I'm not your type, am I? I'm not what you were looking for. Is what
Yeah.
Flirting with the murderer is such a good idea. Malik, you're such a gay disaster. Okay.
So when you say that, when you refer to his type, you see him look across the room in a particular direction. Like you're able to follow his gaze. He does stab you a second time, so you're also going to take the condition just a flesh wound, so much less severe. And then, this is the flashback that we see after Jim Fletcher shoots him. He's out of the room. You're safe for now. You're bleeding, but you're not dying. You're in some pain, but you'll be okay. When you sort of look across to see what it was that he had looked to, you see that there's a chocolate box in the corner of the bedroom. And if you open the chocolate box, you find that it is packed with mouse skeletons. That's the clue that you get there. I just want to check in briefly with Helena. Is there anything that you're doing this afternoon? Did you want to follow up your investigation some more, or what are you thinking?
I guess it'd be like herbalists, like apothecaries and old libraries and stuff. I'll just go to a bunch of them and sort of ask if anyone's seen new ladies in town and stuff. And just ask if any of those people have seen the Coven, basically, without saying, "Have you seen the Coven?"
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, if you do that, then probably the way I'd resolve it is that they'll give you some leads on places that you could look for clues, but you won't like get clues directly just from asking around.
Yep, that's
Is that
fine.
perfect? All right.
Yep.
So yeah, you spend the afternoon. Definitely like finding out some of the places that the Coven have been, and I think that you hear some rumors about them. People in spiritual circles are all talking about these mysterious fortune tellers. Some of the stories it's clear that a lot of this is just not true. But it's also clear that they're doing some real magic here if people are saying these sorts of things about them.
Yeah.
Dr. Malik and Jim Fletcher, Dr. Malik, you're bleeding quite badly. You're pretty hurt. But there is most of a body in the room in front of you still.
Absolutely, 100%.
Are you gonna chop it up right in front of Jim Fletcher?
You know what? Yes, I am going to do that. I'm absolutely going to do that. I think I'm not even going to try to hide it. I think I'm just going to look at Jim and say, I thank you for your assistance. Now, if you could perhaps guard the door while I attend to my personal business here.
Yeah, I'll guard the door. As Jim looks decidedly away from the scene.
And what does Dr. Malik do?
I'm going to and it's weird because Dr. Al-Kabir should be in a lot of pain considering what he's been through, but he's so focused on the task. And I think there's a moment where as he steps forward, we see his idea of the child behind him, right? And once again, the child is trying to speak, but Malik can't hear anything. And he says, "Shh, don't worry. I'll hear you soon enough." And I'm going to take the lungs.
Nice. I mean, there's already that big incision in the torso, right? It's probably just easy to reach on in there.
And as I acquire the body part, I think it's a short flashback of my love singing to me as we worked.
Jim Fletcher, you can hear someone moving around outside the room. Maybe downstairs, maybe up on the landing.
Yeah. So the question answering sort of happens out of continuity in a way, right?
Yeah, so we can do it again now as if you came up with the real answer right now.
Yeah. Since Obertfig has fled, I'm wondering if we may have a sense of what kind of animal Patrick Fig thinks he is. And I do have a theory, especially if we heard this on the roof. I'm thinking he thinks he's some kind of bird or perhaps an owl. So we have a large nest down in the basement. Mm-hmm. We have mouse skeletons, and owls tend to eat mice and they swallow them whole, right? So maybe the skeletons have been recreated from the owl situation that I think we can leave there. Titus Fig in his hospital, as he's potentially gone a little mad, he keeps closing the windows, and I think that's to prevent bird strikes because birds run into windows, right? So he's trying to block the window so that his child doesn't run into them, perhaps, or is afraid of that. And then a fourth clue I had is the fibers that Jim Fletcher found under his fingernails. Perhaps they were from the pieces of the nest because the nest clothes were torn apart in order to soften up the nest. And so stray fibers got picked up and strewn around.
That seems like a theory to me. So, does the theory is that he thinks he's an owl and he's nesting in the kitchen?
Indeed.
All right. Well, that's got you rolling at +2 if you're happy with that.
Folks good with that?
Sounds
All
good.
right. Oh, something better, please. That is better. 11.
Nice. So you are correct. You open up that opportunity. So what is the opportunity that goes with that? So you can lure the animal out into the open and then capture or destroy him. Do you want to try and do that while you're here, or do you want to regroup at Hargrave House first? Like, what are you thinking?
Get him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm feeling inclined. I just know that Helena's not with us, but I will quickly ask Dr. Malik. You seem to be stuck a bit like a pig there. Are you doing okay? You ready to?
Oh, don't worry. And then I think I'm already done. I'm very quick about this. Yeah, but you see my beautiful waistcoat and everything is like covered in blood. But
Well,
shall we,
maybe,
Mr. Fletcher?
So I think maybe we could use a bit of this body that you've already butchered to lure this creature. And I'm kind of leaning into Jim's -2 to reason. Maybe lure the creature out into the middle of the street. just handle this.
You mean to take one of their prizes and have them try to come after it?
Exactly.
Well, that's a very American suggestion, but I shall follow your lead on this, Mr. Fletcher. I trust your ways of being a hunter, being a predator.
I have to say, having seen these figs, I'm inclined to murder this man.
Oh, Mr. Fletcher. Terribly dangerous thing to say.
We could probably try to capture him, though.
Murdering is fine. I'm just saying that to tease you, my dear. I think because I also just got stabbed by one of them, so I'm like also inclined to believe you.
Yeah. So I think the plan is to haul this partial corpse into the street and shoot Patrick Fig that we think to be an owl when he arrives.
So, what's like? Can you I'm cool with this, but what's the theory about why this guy who thinks he's an owl will follow this corpse out into the street?
I think the theory was this is a prize, but maybe there's actually something better. Maybe there's like a shiny object that we could use instead in the house, or something like that. I don't know.
There's definitely going to be mirrors and things like that.
Yeah.
The blade of the guillotine probably shines pretty well.
Oh, I love that. Make it even more ridiculous.
So then you head down into the Fig's basement. You can hear in the shadows in the corners the sort of scratchy sounds of Patrick Fig hobbling around on all fours in this weird imitation of an owl. And you carefully unfasten the blade from the guillotine. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think I'm going to give one chance. I'm going to whistle the Pig's tune, which I don't remember off the top, but whatever that rhyming thing is, Fletcher's going to whistle it. And if Patrick shows any sort of humanness, I'm going to tackle him and try and restrain him instead of shooting him directly.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be a day move. Do something risky or face something you fear. I mean, I guess it's pretty clear what you're thinking. But what are you afraid will happen if you fail here?
Yeah, I mean, I think
you'll have to kill him.
Yeah, or that. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
All right. Well, roll with an appropriate ability. I think probably composure, but maybe presence.
I was going to try to argue for presence with a familiar tune, but that might
Yeah,
be
I believe that.
Great. An 8.
It's an 8. So on a 7 to 9, the keeper will tell you how your actions would leave you vulnerable, and you can choose to back down or go through with it. If you go through with it, the keeper describes what it looks like. So that's where we're going to finish for this week, and we'll come back next week and find out how your actions leave you vulnerable.
I love it.
I think that's a good spot to leave it. So just whistling in the dark basement, hoping that one of the cannibalistic pie makers will come out peacefully. All right, let's finish up with a quick round of stars and wishes, if that's okay. Let's start with Jamie, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Really big stars to I thought this was I really loved that moment when talking about how like the stupidity gave away the Americanism. I thought that was so cruel and so funny at the same time. I really enjoyed that. This is like one of my favorite games. I feel like it's really exciting and really fun. And thank you very much, everyone, for putting up with my doctor's obsession with body parts. I appreciate it. And do I go into wishes already, Shane? Yeah. So my wish is I need to recover from all these bodily, like I have blood stains down the back and just a flesh wound. So I would like for someone to attend to me and gently like heal me. That would be nice. So I can continue to be a gay disaster. That would be perfect. That's my wish. Ooh, and I would like to interact more with the mysterious prince. I think that would be really fun.
Cool. Blake.
It's funny you mentioned that. It's like Malik's got this burgeoning relationship with his prince, and the rest of the world's going to shit. It's lovely to watch this beam of sunshine, and everything else is just heading over the cliff. So it's a nice contrast to everything else that's going on.
Well, sorry, can I just interject that Malik has a burgeoning relationship with a man in a mask who says that he's a member of the royal family. Yeah, the assumption that he is a prince, we do not know that yet.
Exactly. That's just Malik being Malik.
Yeah. Jim's, that's the dumbest plan I've ever heard. Just let's take him out the front and shoot him in broad daylight. So, oh no, I'm so glad I'm not there.
Let's drag a mutilated corpse into the street so we can bring someone outside and murder them.
There's just so many things wrong with it. I was like, oh no. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not dealing with that. Yeah, I didn't expect Faye to be with the Theodora Braithewaite. It's like, well, that's a twist we haven't seen yet. Good, we've got more shit to deal with. It's just we're just digging down into so much crap against us. It's lovely.
Any wishes?
Wishes. We need Reeves' help. Only Reeves can help us now. She's the Obi-Wan of the group. But yeah, it's all going well. And by well, I mean terribly. We're in deep shit. More of the same.
Cool, thank you, Gabe.
Yeah, I really loved the ball. The custom move was really interesting. So that was fun. Yeah, I think just the way everything has escalated so quickly, having 3 threats to deal with, none of which are resolved. I think mechanically I'm really impressed. Like Figs Pigs looks easy to solve and it's really, really not. So I kind of love that twist. And I really enjoyed that Jamie didn't choose to put on a mask with the murder scene. Like that felt like such a great, let's just lean into this miss choice. And it totally worked, right? It didn't break anything. And so I'm really enjoying all of that. And no, I think I'm getting kind of the feel too of just how far we can go. Like I think we pushed up to a lot of edges today, which felt good. I kind of tested some boundaries, but at least for me, didn't cross anything. And so that was fun to kind of go hard where we know we can go hard. In terms of wishes, I am very curious to see more of Ms. Braithwaite the Younger. That feels like there's a lot there. And then I think with Helena, like being kind of partially gone for the last session, and then this session we were kind of like Malik and I were together, and then you were sort of off on the side. Just haven't had as much interaction, so kind of curious about that for next time. Although I'm not here next time, so that'll have to wait.
What?
Yeah, there's a wedding.
No worries. So. Aw, yeah. Yeah, I remember the last time I had to go to a wedding to miss a game, and I just kept thinking, I wish I could do both at the same time.
Sorry, if I wasn't thinking about that, or I would have resolved the fig that you were dealing with.
It could be mysterious. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it will stay mysterious. So for me, I had a great time again. Thanks, everyone. My wish for next time is that I'm conscious that Helena didn't get as much spotlight this week as I would have liked. So definitely hoping for some terrible things to happen to Helena next time. But yeah, thanks, everyone. I'll stop the recording here and just bear with me for a sec.